Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
It's time for the Winston Venable Show with former Boise State linebacker and assistant coach, Winston Venable. The Winston Venable Show is brought to you by Progressive Wealth Management, enhancing wealth for this generation and the next. To speak to a trusted advisor or to learn more about Progressive Wealth Management's financial services, visit pwmmanagement.com. Now joining Winston Venable, here's BJ Rains.
Hey, what's going on, Boise State fans? Happy Wednesday to you. It's Wednesdays with Winston here, the Winston Venable Show, BroncoNationNews.com. We're happy to talk some football. We're going to talk about the rampant craziness of the transfer portal. We're going to talk about the matchup with North Texas in the Frisco Bowl. We got a ton to get to, and as always, Winston Venable Show brought to you by Progressive Wealth Management. Make sure you check them out, pwmmanagement.com, for all your financial needs. Winston Venable works there and can help you get in touch with the right folks there, and can change your financial plan in a good way to help you get on track with all your financial needs and set yourself up for the future. So make sure you check out Progressive Wealth Management. Winston, we saw you down there for the championship game. Appreciate you for coming down, man. That was I was going to say that was fun. I guess the pregame show was fun. The game didn't end up being as fun, but always good to see you down there, man, and appreciate you once again on a Wednesday morning for doing this. How's it going?
Hey, thanks, BJ. Yeah, man, this Wednesday is a little different than we had a good streak, throw the BYU in there, whatever. But, we had a good streak of some win Wednesdays, man, where we had some great positivity and some things to talk about. Always going to stay positive with the Broncos. That's just in my nature. But that was a tough one, BJ. It's tough to do that championship game on the blue. Big game for the Broncos. Big game for coaching staff, the players, the seniors, and didn't go out the way they wanted to, man.
Yeah, obviously a tough one. They watch Fresno State celebrate the Mountain West Championship on their field, as they did in 2018 as well in that game. So then the coaches jetted off recruiting right away, and we're seeing some photos of them in a lot of the homes and stuff recruiting guys. And then it came out on Sunday, the bowl game. They'll play North Texas in the Frisco Bowl, which is basically in North Texas, about 30 minutes from their campus. What do you make of the matchup with North Texas? They've lost their coach now. I mean, they're 7-6. It's not the sexiest opponent to play, but I know being done before Christmas was a big deal to get these guys back with their families and stuff. And maybe you would have had opportunity to go to like the First Responder Bowl again and play an Oklahoma State or a lower level, 6-6 type Big 12 team. But in the end, you get North Texas in the Frisco Bowl, and you're done on the 17th. So basically kind of a quote-unquote bye week this week, and then you'll get right back into game week next week. It's on the first full Saturday of bowls. I know some fans wanted a better team, but when you lose your championship game at home, the Mountain West doesn't have a ton of great options after the LA Bowl. So what's your take just on the opponent, the matchup, and everything going on with the bowl game?
Yeah, I think you just said, you said something right there that it definitely makes sense, where sometimes you're not in a position to, have many options when you don't handle business and win your conference and things like that, and get put in that position to play a Pac-12 school and maybe a better location. I mean, location is one thing. I know opponent's another. But I think there's some positives. I think they're still a respected team, North Texas. They played in their championship game. They did lose. Their record's not sexy by any means, as far as, a championship style game that we just saw with Fresno State, 3 losses against us with 3 losses. So, or 4. So, It's one of those things that you do look at recruiting. You do look at the timing of the game. And you just mentioned, to get these players to go to, home for Christmas. I was a part of that first responder bowl where we didn't even play the bowl game and it was over Christmas. And I hate to say waste, a good opponent, Boston College, but that's another major sacrifice to go down and give up your Christmas. And that's a part of being a college athlete and part of being a coach. So it's one of those things that you have to expect. Sometimes that happens, and you're going to play the best opponent you can in the best situation. So if North Texas was the best for Boise State as far as recruiting, time, all that type of stuff, then awesome. Great job for them to make it to a bowl game. And hopefully, hopefully this is a game they feel confident about winning also. And I know that they're always going to be confident winning, but we got to go win this one, man, because that record shows a little bit different story, if you don't go and finish this game. And really that non-conference big time games, we got to end up, getting some W's in that category to, get on the right track for Boise State football.
Yeah, and it is a really nice opportunity to get to 10 wins, and you come back and look at it a couple years from now, no one's going to say, oh, well, that 10th win was North Texas. That doesn't count. 10 wins is 10 wins, and to go from 7-5 in Andy Avalos' first season, if you can get to 10-4, I know the Mountain West Championship is kind of the goal. When you don't do that, it doesn't make it a, overly perfectly successful season, but I still think 10 wins and a bowl championship, no matter who you play, would really build, be a nice season and build some momentum for next year.
Yeah, I think you just said it, man. I totally agree. I think you look back years from now and Coach Avalos's record and his start as a head coach where, 10 wins would be big time for the program, big time for momentum and confidence. And I think there's just, on the ladder, it doesn't look great if you don't. And I think, a 9-5 and 5 losses last year, 5 losses this year is not necessarily, the standard that we all talk about here at Boise State and the community and within the program too, alumni and all that. So this is a big game for the Broncos. I don't want to take this game lightly, and I hope they're not either. This is like you said, this is going to solidify their season and give them that confidence that they're going to be rolling into next year with.
North Texas, according to Jordan, changing their mascot from Mean Green to Lean Green after losing their coach and having to play against the Green and Talon Green. So
yeah, and that's
Lean Green.
That's a tough deal, man. When you lose your coach like that, I've done some research and just read some articles, and it sounds like he was a heck of a guy, heck of a coach, well respected, and I think that took some people by surprise as far as the material I'm reading, but. That kind of goes two ways too. If the players had a lot of respect and loved that guy, they might go out here and have the best focus they've had for a week and a half, 2 weeks of practice and go out there and try to win it for your coach. Or on the ladder, they could just be a disaster right now and guys are shutting it down. They just lost their coach and the transfer portal and all that type of stuff's going on. And you just don't know what's going on inside buildings. So it's hard to speak from it from the outside, whether that's Boise State football or North Texas. But when it comes down to it, I think it's another opportunity and another game for 18 to 22-year-olds to go out there and compete, and you never know what you're going to get. And this is a good matchup for Boise.
And as Perry points out, one of the teams in the matchup beat UTEP this year, and it wasn't Boise State.
Yeah, there you go. I think
much different. But I think it was the first game of the season for them. Boise State's obviously a lot different than the team that played UTEP. But if you look at the common opponents, they've got the edge.
Yeah, I think anything can happen in football, and Boise.
They also have like a 30-year-old quarterback. Have you seen that guy? He's like the oldest player in college. I think he's 30 years old or something. He played professional baseball or something first and came back. He's like the oldest player in college football. Which somebody said, "How is that player not on BYU?" But
no, there's got to be like a 35-year-old punter, Australian punter out there somewhere.
there might be.
I know there is.
John Tarlis is watching from Greece. We appreciate you, sir. Vlad says, do you think we'll ever get back to the good old days, getting ranked top 10, big bowls, doing it with 2 or 3 star eye kind of guys? Is the difference players or coaching? We have seen kind of, it's been since 2014, Winston, since the last BCS, quote, New Year's 6 game, 2014. So we're going on 8-9 years now. You look at like the home stretch, I think they lost 10 home games, and from 2000 to 2020. And in the last 2 years, they've lost 5 home games. They're having the last, 7-8 years. I mentioned it. The last 8 years, 2 Mountain West championships from 2015 to 2022. 8 seasons. You've only won 2 Mountain West titles. And I know you've had some nice seasons in there, some 10, 11 win seasons, but still not that nationally ranked all year, really part of the national conversation all that much in the last 7-8 years. And I know there are some fans kind of worried about that. As I said, I think 10 wins today would probably stepping stone you into being a borderline top 25 team to start next year if you get Green and all those guys back. But big picture, is it other teams coming up? Is it Boise State? That was just so magical that it wasn't, it was too much? Or do you think Boise State can here in years future really get back into that national conversation? I think, by the way, the playoff, by the way, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think the added 12-team playoff will help, because if Boise State wins the Mountain West, you got a good chance of being in the playoff every year.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought that was awesome to see that. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about conference realignment and stepping up. And I know there's money involved in that stuff. There's all sorts of behind the scenes that I don't know about, but I know that it's real. And those are the decisions for Jeremiah Dickey and the big dogs to make and figure out the path and the future here. But just going back to getting into that ranked mode and, competing for those big games and getting to New Year's Six and college football playoffs, all that. I mean, when I played and before we even joined the Mountain West, and Mountain West, we've had some good runs. Coach Harson's, gone 8-0 in the Mountain West before and things like that. And it's when you do that becomes the expectation. But looking back and to even when I played, we played in the WAC, when people called it the Week A conference and the WAC A conference. And what did we do there? We ran the show. We ran the WAC, and it's all about taking care of the conference you're in. But then the alternative was we beat the Oregon. We beat the Oregon State. We went out to Virginia Tech and we beat those teams. And those are the games when you handle business Mountain West and you win the big time conference, non-conference games, you're right in the picture with all the top rankings and all that, because, you're looking at a 9-1 season, but you beat Virginia Tech, you beat Oregon State, you beat Oregon, like I said, and those are the teams that are going to get you ranked. You got to play ranked opponents and you got to beat ranked opponents to get in that situation. So you can't, it's pretty easy to say, but you can't lose to UTEP. You can't lose to State. If you do, you're out of the picture, man. I mean, and that's just the situation that we're in. So you got to win the Mountain West and you got to win big time games. And
I do want to talk about the transfer portal here in a little bit. And we got more folks coming on. We got pretty good viewership for a random Wednesday here with no game on Saturday. But I don't think we did get a chance to talk about the playoff. I think that happened like on the day. Maybe we did last week a little bit. But just for a school like Boise State, Winston, to legitimately go all off season and go into training camp, here in 2 years, legitimately knowing that you actually have a path where the highest ranked, 6 conference champions, which, it's worded however you want, but at a minimum, one group of 5 conference that will get into the playoff every single year. What does that do for recruiting? What does that do for the offseason, just going into the summer where in years past you knew you had to go undefeated and you weren't even sure then if you'd get in, to legitimately know that if we win the Mountain West and we're 11-1 or 12-0, or in some cases maybe 10-2, depending on how it plays out, I mean, you're going to have a legit chance. They will be in the playoff. That's got to be pretty exciting for players all offseason, knowing that they have a legitimate path to a national championship now, which they've never had before.
Yeah, and I think at one point in time, it was – when you're trying to get into those big New Year's Six, those big time bowl games, it was the unknown. You could go 12-0 as a Boise State team and not get in, or 11-1 and not get in. So I remember even guys like Coach Peterson would, it's always like control. We control nothing's given to us. And even if we do take care of our business, it's not a guarantee. But now it's like, hey, that path is a little bit more clear. And I think you can kind of put that on top of your goal or your pyramid or whatever, where it's like, hey, this also can be an end goal of ours for us to keep in mind. But it goes back to the same thing, BJ, where it's like, if you don't handle business, you're not getting in anyway. So yes, it's another motivator. It's another driver. but you still got to take care of business. You still got to win those big time games, and you got to win your conference. So, I mean, I think you still have to baby step it, keep your sights at the right thing, because if you start jumping into New Year's Six, you start jumping into, all this stuff that even we started talking about a little bit this year, it's like, no, we got to hold that conversation until you've handled it. Then you wait and see, how are other teams doing? How are they ranked? What's their schedule like? What's the strength of schedule? All that stuff matters. So it's an awesome opportunity, though. It's something that they can talk about in recruiting. It's something that they can have their sights on, probably more as a staff, and not feed that into the players where it's like, hey, we can go to the New Year's Six, we can go to the college football playoffs. Hey, we need to win our first game against a team like Oregon State, and we need to get that momentum going in, taking care of the Mountain West, and we'll see what happens at the end.
Hey, the Blue and Orange Store, make sure you check them out, theblueandorangestore.com. Free shipping, any order over $40 online, theblueandorangestore.com. You still got time to get those Christmas gifts. Perfect time. They got some great sales going, and if you're in the Boise area, just check them out on the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall. Ridley's Family Market, shopridleys.com. 13 Idaho locations. You can find the nearest one near you at shopridleys.com. They have all the newest technology to make your shopping experience easy. The at-home shopping, the Skip app, the home delivery, and more. Check them out, shopridleys.com. If you're looking for business insurance, United Commercial Insurance, they can help you out, lower your rate, and get you a great deal. 44 states around the country, they can write business policy insurance, and they're trying to help more people here in the Treasure Valley, bulking up their staff and their attention there. So 229-8222. Give them a call, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. Quick call can save you hundreds of dollars at United Commercial Insurance. They make business insurance easy. And if you're looking for a dentist, how about BoiseDentistryCo.com? That's my kids on the screen there, Dr. Meinert, his staff. They do a tremendous job, full family dentistry. Check them out, BoiseDentistryCo.com. From Mountain Home to Caldwell, everywhere in between. I went to their new location on Eagle Road recently. It's a great spot. So if you're looking for a new dentist for the whole family, kids, grandparents, whoever, look no further. Check out BoiseDentistryCo.com. We got a lot of stuff going on, Winston. We got some comments coming on, but I do want to talk about recruiting / the transfer portal. Recruiting first. We've seen a lot of photos, and by the way, I think it was it Jay Hill that just got introduced as the Weber State coach? Was it Jay Hill? He's going to be the defensive coordinator at BYU. I reported on Sunday that Kelly Papinga has informed folks that he is leaving for BYU. That hasn't been announced yet, but I'm not at all worried about that. He told players and folks that he was leaving. I think they just wanted to get Hill on board first, I guess. So it wouldn't shock me to see Papinga in the next day or two announced at BYU. I don't know if you've heard anything on that, but if you notice and you read the tea leaves, Jabril Frazier is out recruiting, and he was a GA. So he helped with the edge position. So if Jabril Frazier is out recruiting, they elevated him. Obviously somebody's gone. We haven't seen Papinga in any of the photos. Makes sense that that's what's happening. So no official announcement on that, but I do stand by that report, and I'm just expecting there's some things going on at BYU, and I probably wanted to get Hill on board first. But in terms of recruiting, we have seen some photos. This is a big week, obviously, where there's no practice, or at least till the weekend. So the coaches went out after the championship game, checking in on their commits. Mostly I've seen photos with commits so far, but they're trying to maybe talk to a few other guys as well. But we've seen, and I know Harsin did this at times too, but we're seeing some photos here with like 7 coaches in, one photo. What was kind of Andy's philosophy on recruiting, and when you guys would go to schools or home visits? I know you always want to have more than just like the position coach and the head coach in case somebody leaves, right? It's a big thing to have guys on the other side of the ball even, and just different, as many coaches as possible, build relationships with these guys in case somebody, their position coach were to leave. But I found it pretty impressive. I saw a couple photos, one at a home visit and one at a school, where he had literally almost the entire coaching staff in the photo. I'm sure it's just right place, right time. They're trying to hit 3 or 4 guys on the same visit or whatever. But what's kind of the philosophy that Andy has? And this is obviously a big week for them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can just kind of go from an outside perspective as well here. I mean, it's all about showing them love, man. Right. I mean, if you can dial it up where some guys are out in Texas, and maybe, you're in 2 coaches are in Southern California, a couple are in Texas. Well, is there an opportunity to jump on a quick jet to go over to Texas and all go visit a big time recruit and show them love and build those relationships, like you said? So, I mean, I can tell you this, Andy's big on relationships. He's big on people. And I think it just speaks volumes when, you overwhelm people. It's like we did that, Pete, Hars, whoever, we've always had this philosophy of like overwhelming recruits and their parents when they come on campus, and we greet them in the lobby. And it's almost like sometimes it's like, oh man, like these people don't know who to talk to or whatnot. But big picture, it's showing we're a family. It's showing that we support you. Everybody does, and we're all in on you. So I think that's just the same basic philosophy where if you can match up these flights and these jets and get to the same spot and go visit a family and really get to know them as people and have conversation and break some bread and shoot the breeze and all those type of things, that it goes a long ways. In my personal experience, I got offered a scholarship from University of Texas, El Paso, UTEP. The coach, he gave me a scholarship on voicemail. Not a school I want to go to. Never even talked to the coach. He said, I'd like to offer you a scholarship, right? Colorado State, the quarterback coach, was the only coach that talked to me the whole recruiting process. Boise State, on the other hand, Coach Huff would say, hey, next week I want you to call me. I'm going to put you on with the offensive coordinator, Brian Harsin. I'd call, Brian Harsin's on the phone. He'd say, hey, I want to put you on the phone with, our defensive line coach. I'm like, dude, why am I talking to all these people? And then I realized, hey, you're talking to all of them because that's a big family trying to support you and get to know you. And I think it's not even necessarily because a coach is going to leave. That might play a factor in there, but it's like, hey, this is who we are. This is what we're about. And we're going to all have an impact in your life. And we want to start that process right now.
Now, I just saw on Twitter a few minutes ago, Michael Madri. He's a defensive line player that is committed to Boise State. He's from Texas. And he just reported that he got an offer from Arizona State. And that's another rite of passage where a week or two before signing day, a lot of Boise State commits start getting Power 5 offers, Winston, as other schools lose guys or come in and go, oh, well, who's on Boise State's list? And you guys pretty much do all the homework for them. What is that process like as a coach, too? Maybe we can talk about this more as we lead up to signing day. But trying to hang on to guys, it seems like every year we hear the night before signing day, the weekend before signing day, these Power 5 schools come in and try to woo guys away. I know with Ashton Genty, I think he had TCU come in late, some other schools. But what's that like where you guys develop all these relationships and do it for months, and then here a couple weeks before signing day, some Power 5 school thinks they can come in and try to woo them at the last minute?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, man, it is where we are headed. It's where we're at right now. And it's even that much big of a deal because of NIL and what schools are doing in that. And this is, coaches take opportunities. Coaches leave, they move on, they improve, they want to better their situation. Kids do the same thing. They're getting little things dangled, little carrots dangling in their face. And it's a crazy game that we're in. I think the landscape of college football is going on a complete different direction than a lot of coaches and players like myself got into college football for. And it's scary, man. Just like you said, and I don't know who this recruit is, and I'm not even wanting, we can use him as an example, but when this stuff happens, it makes you nervous as a coach because when a player then tweets out something and posts something, I understand there's recognition, there's look at me, look at my offers. But if you're doing that, the last thing you are is committed to the program that you are committed to. And that puts red flags up, and you're going on control, you're going on player control or damage control at that point. And you're really making sure, like, hey, are you committed? Why'd you do that? And it's a fine line, right? You don't want to go to that kid and piss him off anymore. But how committed are these kids if they're talking to other schools, if they're hearing them out? And then not only that, letting the school know who you're committed to, that I'm having other conversations and appreciating offers. I mean, the landscape's crazy, BJ. Somewhat glad I'm out of it. I'm going to be on the other side and help players dive and navigate through this type of stuff and deal with it. But man, it's scary, man. And as a coach, you don't want to see your committed guys talking to other schools and actually posting it and showing the world it. It's not a good look.
And I know Coach Pete had the philosophy that if you took another visit, your scholarship offer was gone.
Yeah,
and so I know there is, and yeah, I've always thought that you're not committed if you're either visiting or talking to me. You're committed or you're not, one or the other.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, and I just, with the ability for these guys to transfer and all that, and that's a whole nother deal. Like, I understand guys come to school and then they have opportunities to get in the portal and leave because they're not happy. I mean, that's like a whole nother topic almost. But the word committed, it doesn't resonate when you then have conversations and do those type of things. And I think it's just it shows a little bit about who you are, man. And once again, we can use that as an example. And I have no idea about the kid that you just mentioned, and it's not about that, right? I want to make that clear.
I was just making a general statement.
No, and I just know from my side, I just want to make that clear. You see it all over the place. We've dealt with it. You're always worried about a guy like Genty. When we were recruiting Genty, you're worried, like, he's an under-recruited guy. We're going to offer him. People are going to know that. They're going to come in late. What are they saying? And with NIL now, I got a lot of friends that are coaches. This NIL world is nuts. Booster money, NIL money, even getting recruited. I mean, it's a whole nother world, man.
And my understanding is sometimes they promise you money that they don't end up following through with either. And so, it certainly is crazy. We do only have about 4 minutes left, so I do want to talk. I have another transfer portal question, but I do want to thank a couple more of our sponsors real quick and make sure we can pay some bills. Winston, we're in the Cutwater Canned Cocktail Studios. Check them out. More than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium canned cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Over 500,000 Idahoans have made the switch, and you should too. The official bank of Bronco Nation News and the Reigns family. So happy we made our switch to Idaho Central Credit Union. I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor. Love their online mobile app. It's so easy. Check them out, ICCU.com. Lithia Ford of Boise as well. LithiaFordBoise.com. Go online, look at their full inventory of vehicles. You can compare, find the one you like, and then come in, test drive, and be on your way. Lithia Ford of Boise. Appreciate them, as well as RoPaint.com, our title sponsor. Check them out, ROEPaint.com, for all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, whether it's painting the siding on the outside of the house, the inside, the concrete coating, change your garage. I mean, the concrete coating is transformational, so check it out at ROEPaint.com. And if you're looking for a new job, how about becoming a truck driver? They can help you out every step of the way. A transportation compliance service to get out there towing that first load in no time. And I'm talking the Amazon truck in your neighborhood, any kind of towing or truck driving you want to get into. They can help you out. All the permits, all the things, make it easy for you. Check them out, transportation compliance service. And we are trying to find a time to get together this week with Matt Bauscher. He was there courtside last night. Boise State wins their 6th game in a row. Check them out, BauscherRealEstate.com, the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. That's Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. And Winston, the transfer portal in general, the not having to sit out a year, I know it made it worse with the NIL. I think at first the not having to sit out a year thing made some sense. But now that a lot of times players were deterred from transferring because they'd have to sit out a year and they didn't want to do that. And now the fact that they don't have to sit out a year, and the fact that, you're not supposed to talk to a player until he goes in the transfer portal, but I'd say more times than not, the player knows where he's going sometimes. There's back channels with high school coaches and, buddies and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they say it's not supposed to happen, but I just assume it does. What do you make? And you mentioned the NIL. I know like an Emmanuel Acott from the basketball team last year was supposed to get some good NIL money to go to Memphis. And then he ends up in the middle of the summer switching again to Western Kentucky because maybe all that money didn't come that was supposed to. And it just seems like nowadays, and that's why I think a lot of fans in Boise are frankly a little nervous about a Taylon Green or an Ashton Genty. You come to a Boise State and, do very, very well, and Boise State finds them and gets them signed. And then they're worried that all of a sudden they're going to become a farm school for bigger schools to come in and pluck these guys away. Not to say it's going to happen, and both those guys seem happy here, but just in general, it does seem like with the NIL money and stuff that it would be very easy for some school in Texas to realize they missed on a kid like that and find a booster that's willing to give them $500,000 and to support their company. And it's the world we live in now, but what do you make of that aspect of it now? And I think it was on the first day of the transfer portal, over 800 players went into the portal, including like 65 quarterbacks. You've only got 130 FBS schools. Not all those guys are going to go find starting jobs somewhere. I mean, we saw it with Andrew Van Buren last year, right? I think he probably thought he was going to find a better opportunity than Portland State, and that's where he ends up. The transfer portal is just crazy right now. What are your thoughts on that before we get out of here?
Yeah, wild, wild west, man. It's a dirty game. It's totally making college football muddy and dirty. And I know a lot of coaches are not it's not what they got into, right? And you're now starting to have to deal with exactly what you're talking about. How are you managing your roster? How are you taking care of your guys, right? I mean, you just said it. I don't even have to say it, but there's some big time guys at Boise State, and you just don't know what's going on with that, man. And you don't know what conversations, you don't know always their family dynamic. All right. I mean, there's people that are, hey, come home, play at this big time school. We'll take care of your family. We'll put them up. We'll send your mom to games. I mean, there's so many different crazy stories going on right now about how NIL is really this open free deal for boosters and schools to allocate funds in certain ways and take care of their players. I mean, it's crazy. So it's a challenge, right? It's a new thing for coaches to have to deal with, managing and maintaining their roster, as well as figuring out ways that the NIL can help bring in guys that can help your program. And this is just nothing that colleges have had to deal with. Then I think some coaches and programs are well off and are well better situated than others. And Boise State, unfortunately, we've always gotten really good kids. And that's what I'll say is people come to Boise State to win championships, and we got good kids. That was 2 years and prior. Now it's a different game. So I can't answer some of these questions because I don't know what a guy like Talon Green is, what phone calls he's getting and his family's getting, and what little carrots being dangled in front of him. But you hope the staff at Boise is taking care of their guys. They're finding opportunities financially to keep guys if financials is a something of importance to them. Now, I mean, some guys might be like, I want to play. I bleed blue. I'm here. I'm committed, and I'm not going anywhere. But it's starting to get foggy, BJ.
Yeah, it is free agency. It's craziness. And the thing is, I don't know how you change it. Well, I mean, you're this far down the road.
No.
I don't like the collective things, to be honest with you, where basically the school's raising the money to give back to guys where you're essentially paying. I mean, there's essentially like Texas Tech football players were essentially getting a $25,000 quote unquote salary basically to play football. I mean, the collective thing adds to it too, where the schools are getting involved.
Oh, schools are getting involved. And I think it's one of those things like what we just talked about. Like, it's almost like they have to, BJ. And, yeah, I mean, we could hit up another hour on this stuff, man, just because it's so wild. And, I think we've hit most of it.
Yep.
And I will go back to one thing before we go, BJ, because I always feel passionate about helping out kids and making sure that, if I can be a resource. But I was a little passive earlier when talking about the committed deal. If you're because I love Boise State and I'm alum, if you're a committed Bronco out there, please take this advice and do not post things on social media, and do not make it be known that you're having conversations with other schools and that you appreciate those other schools and all that, because it is not a good look it's not a good look for you. So just please don't do it.
Well, hey, I do want to mention before we get out of here, Winston, we have our ongoing Subscriber Appreciation Month contest going on this Friday. That would look nice in Winston's next tailgate party. This Bud Light Seltzer Zero Gravity Chair is the giveaway on Friday. And again, if you've already renewed for 1 year, another year, or if you've signed up for a 1 year subscription, you are already entered. If you want to get in the drawing for Friday, you have till Friday morning about 8 a.m. to purchase a 1 year subscription, $70. The Bronco Nation News will throw you in the drawing for this. We've also got a couple of gift cards we're going to give away. Every Friday, we're going to give something away, and it all culminates with the grand prize, Winston, a trip for two on a private jet down to Las Vegas for the basketball game. You get 2 tickets to the game. You also get a night stay at Circa Resort and Casino. So, and again, if you already did it, you're entered every Friday. But so the sooner you renew, or the sooner you purchase a 1 year subscription, the more things you'll be in. And as I said, you get breaking news, Winston. No one else has reported on Kelly Papinga. We're still the only outlet that's reported on that like 3 days later now. So if folks want Boise State news, the latest you get sent to your email first. You get updated stories. You get some subscriber content. There's a lot of stuff for subscribers, and hopefully you'll pay the one-time fee, $70. Get in now, BroncoNationNews.com. And again, weekly giveaways every Friday, starting with that chair. And the grand prize is the trip for two to Las Vegas on the private jet. Everyone's loving your comments and loving your thoughts and your comments in the comment pool. We don't have time to get to them all, Winston, but they're really enjoying today's show and what you said. So appreciate appreciate everybody for the comments and for watching. And we're going to keep this going for a couple more weeks, Winston. I think we'll try to do so signing day. We got the bowl game next. We'll do next week to preview the bowl game. And then the following Wednesday, we'll recap the bowl game. And it is signing day too. So we'll kind of do a combination of a signing day and bowl game wrap-up show. And then we may try to do it, monthly or every other week during spring ball, or try to do something if we can. And we don't just want to say bye to you till next season, but we won't probably go every week starting after the bowl game, but we'll get some sort of schedule together. I'd like to still do this semi-regularly if we could. There's still a lot of off-season stuff to talk about.
Yeah, man. We got a couple more weeks for this season to talk about for sure, man. With all these changes and staff and hopefully,
Somebody asked about the OC, by the way. You'd think that'd be coming pretty soon, don't you? I mean, you think they'd want to have the new OC in place by signing day, and you would have thought also for some of the offensive players to know, that might enter the transfer portal or might not, to know who their OC is going to be.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that they're probably, I'm not too sure, but I would hope that they're working on it too. As you're recruiting, as you are getting prepared for, the spring and all that, I think you want to solidify some of these things and have a full staff. And I'm not too sure that there's not going to be other movement just along the landscape of college football anyway. So maybe there is a little bit of waiting game. Maybe there's some things that might pop up as far as other offensive coordinators, head coaches that become available. So don't really know the strategy there. Can only speculate, and sometimes that gets you in trouble. So who knows what's going on, but I would think they want to find out who their OC and new edge coach is and all that type of stuff.
Well, appreciate your time, Winston. We went a little long today, but we will not have a BNN after dark tonight, so we'll call it even. But appreciate your time, Winston, as always. No BNN after dark tonight. I'm flying to St. Louis, see the fam for a couple days, and we got the Boise State St. Louis basketball game on Saturday. So 10 years working here, Winston. First time I get a Boise State work trip back to St. Louis. So looking forward to that, and should be fun. But yeah, no show tonight, and we'll try to get one more next Wednesday if we can before the bowl game. But appreciate Winston. Appreciate you guys for watching. Go check out Progressive Wealth Management for all your financial needs. I'll take care of you. You can get more information, pwmmanagement.com. And have a great day. We appreciate it. Check out BroncoNationNews.com. Go subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Mike Prater and I, 9 a.m. tomorrow. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.